Normally, I just go through the house, but because there was a higher concentration of Eastern Star members, I tried to draft some notes because I wanted to bring attention to some of the items that were donated by specific members. So bear with me here. So we're going to start in the foyer. And I guess I'll kind of start with the bronze chandelier. This was given by the state of Iowa in honor of Brother Hugh Tessemia. He was the most worthy grand patron in 1958 through 1961. Now, bear with me as I kind of zoom around. I'm going to have to position myself and kind of turn here. All right. So we're going to kind of start. So the exterior of the mansion is done in reminiscent of 16th and 17th century French chateau style, with Renaissance details. There's magnificent urns with French bows on the top of the mansion, and you'll see throughout the mansion there's a couple different themes that the architect brilliantly combined for a sense of cohesiveness from the exterior and the interior. I know we've switched the portraits, so I'm going to go over here. Let's see. And again, I'm not sure if everyone is, if there's non-members and members, but this beautiful woman is Sister Marianne Chanefeld. She is our most worthy grand matron. She is the global head of the Order of the Eastern Star. And then I'm going to go over here and see if I can get a little closer. This is Brother Henry Martin. He's our most worthy grand patron. He assists the most worthy grand matron the best of his ability, and in his infinite knowledge and wisdom, he often says yes to the most worthy grand matron. They have done a remarkable job since being elected in office, and nobody could have foreseen the challenges that are have been put before us, but I commend them, and I'm so proud and privileged to be able to work with them and under them with their wisdom. I truly treasure that as them being officers. I'm going to kind of try to spin a little bit. I want to talk about some of the architectural details. So I can't zoom in on them, otherwise it gets all distorted. It's just how this is set up. But the brass fixtures in the house were designed by the architect, who was Ernest Eugene Sanson. He was the premier world authority on Beaux-Arts architecture in Paris. So all of the brass is solid brass, and it was designed specifically for the mansion and cast in Paris. Going to try to show you a little bit of the marble. The marble in the house is quite remarkable. The Belmonts spared no expense when they built this house. They built it for about, well, over $1.5 million. And in that period of time was an extraordinary amount of money, which would kind of be close to about $48 to $50 million today, if you can believe that. And this wasn't their primary residence. This was specifically used for entertaining during the political and social season, which was the winter season. So it kind of gives you a glimpse into the extraordinary lives of the first owners who built the house. So we're going to hop up here, and I'm going to take you down this ambulatory hallway. This is the 18th Street side of the house. The mansion is in the shape of a triangle, basically. It was previously a national park. And while we're mentioning that, I do want to point out one individual specifically, because without his help over the past couple decades, we would not be in the position we are with the condition of the house. Past master of Federal Lodge, Brother Paul Dolinsky, has recently retired. He was the lead architect for the National Park Service. So he has worked on the White House for decades and all of the monuments. He has also been an authority on World UNESCO historic sites globally. He worked on Notre Dame, and the list is endless. He has been involved with the General Grand Chapter, helping the Grand Chapter over the decades. And if any of you happen to see him, I pray that all of you can come at some point so that we can meet face to face for our tours. And hopefully he will be around that you might bump into him and give some thanks, because without his brilliance and tireless work, we would not be in the position that we are today. Before we get up into the library, I want to kind of show you a side view. So the mansion is done in the Beaux-Arts style. Beaux-Arts translates from French, beautiful art. It was big and theatrical, dramatic, but also had a sense of symmetry. So later when we go up the staircase, you'll kind of see the symmetry that I'm talking about. But to break up some of the symmetry of like the Ionic columns, I want to show this view because it's one of my favorite views of the house. I'm actually going to have to get back here. Just be patient with me. Here you can see some of the Gustavino vaulting, which is remarkable. And I need to give a little history of the construction of the house. It's not just like a brick mansion. It was a marvel of technology at its time. The exterior is Indiana limestone. And then the house was built with monumental slabs of granite, poured concrete, steel rebar like a skyscraper. And it was very, very kind of modern for its construction. And it was also terracotta lined to make it fireproof. So I do want to point that out. And then also this is the outside, which is the Indiana limestone. This is a faux technique to make it look like the limestone from the exterior. So I'm going to try to turn here. And I'm going to kind of need to read from some notes here. So this is a photo of Perry Belmont. Perry was a 5-term congressman from New York, and he was an ambassador to Spain. He wrote numerous books, long family history in the military, on both sides of the family. His father was, well, I want to back up. He was a campaigner for the abolition of the secret party funds to show full transparency with where monies came to for either party. He was the eldest child of banker Auguste Belmont and heiress Caroline Slidell Perry. Perry's father, Auguste, was educated in Germany and advanced quickly under the guidance of Baron Karl von Rothschild. He was sent to the U.S. during the financial crisis of 1837 to help stabilize the Rothschilds' American interests. He soon found out and realized he could make a lot of money himself. So on his own merits, he later created his own bank in New York. He was also the investor for the New York subway system, which created a tremendous amount of revenue for the family wealth. And also, if anybody's thinking the name Belmont, yes, that is the name for the Belmont Stakes horse race. This is the family. His father, Auguste, and his brother founded the Belmont Stakes horse race. I really wish I could get a closer look. This is his wife, Jessie. Jessie Robin Sloan Belmont. She was the heiress to the McKesson Robbins Pharmaceutical Company. So this was kind of the most fabulous marriage of wealth at that time. She was previously married to Henry Sloan, as I mentioned. She divorced Henry at 3:30 in the afternoon in 1899. And after crossing state lines, bypassing New York law, she married Perry later that same day. So you can imagine at that time that was an enormous scandal. Victorian and Edwardian protocol was very prim and proper. So that was absolutely unheard of at that time. They were in what was called the 400 Club. That would have been the 400 wealthiest families in America, the Astors, the Vanderbilts. And after a number of years, Jessie was known for lavish entertaining, and they were never invited to anybody's parties. Nobody came to their parties, sadly. But after about 7 years of being frozen out, they skyrocketed again back to the top of high society. President Taft and his wife came, and that kind of softened things a bit. So we're going to jump up these stairs here. We're going to go into the library. This kind of gives you a view here. You can see some more of the beautiful brass work. Gonna hop over here and see if I can get a view of the table. So this library table and chairs is carved out of Nara wood. It was created in the Philippines, and to my knowledge, it was donated by the Grand Chapter of the Philippines. You can see on here another piece that was gifted by the Grand Chapter, I believe, in Hawaii, and that is a monkey pod wood, and it's a rather large specimen of it. Gonna jump a bit closer. And as I had mentioned, everything's kind of moved around from where it is right now. This French desk, it's actually a Spanish desk done in the French Empire style. This is one of the home's most remarkable masterpieces regarding decorative arts. The back here is done in Moroccan leather. And then you can see all of the bronze ormolu. It is truly breathtaking. And even the back, the whole desk is carved most extraordinarily. And then this desk set is an original Louis Comfort Tiffany desk set. I know people are familiar with Tiffany, and more especially the stained glass of Tiffany, but Louis Comfort didn't design that. Actually, that was designed by a woman. So at that point in time, she was one of the highest paid women in the United States because of her brilliance and genius with the stained glass. Louis Comfort Tiffany preferred to work with the metal. He loved working with that metal. And I'm going to see if I can sneak over there. We found this beautiful floor lamp that was hidden. So that was a very exciting treasure that I found hidden. And I was the temple guardian at that time. And right where the Grand Alma was in Texas, I think at Grand Chapter. And I called her on the phone and I said, "You won't believe what we found hidden over in the corner." So that was very exciting. If you look at the wall here behind the books, you can see all of the, not the journals, the, help me out. Proceedings. These are all the proceedings that are stored from all of the subordinate chapters all around the world. And then I believe every 3 years they're bound into larger volumes and put down into storage. Right here is probably one of the most priceless things for our fraternity. This is the original signet by Dr. Morris. It's a miracle that it still exists. It had seen a considerable amount of damage over the years, water damage and light damage over the past century. But it was recently professionally conserved by Kingery Conservation LLC from a generous donation from the Grand Chapter of Illinois. I'm going to see if I can get a little closer look in case there's anybody that is from the Navy. If you look closely, that's as close as I can get. Well, just to go back a bit, it was made on at approximately 1860 is what we believe. And we're not quite sure. The experts couldn't tell if it was untanned calf or goat or sheepskin, but it's done on an animal skin. And they've done a magnificent job. It's hermetically sealed. It's moisture controlled now. Now the frame is most interesting. The frame is from Philippine and Honduran mahogany, and that is from a decommissioned ship from 1734 that was decommissioned in Baltimore, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. So how that all came about, we're going to leave up to the historians to help pull all this history together. As you can see on the wall, we have some of the portraits of past right-worthy Grand Secretaries. The Belmonts entertained lavishly in the mansion from 1909 to 1925. Titans of industry, world leaders, presidents, every ambassador imaginable, and hordes of royal family members. They had an enormous auction in 1932 during the Depression. The house, the Belmonts at some point tried to sell the house, but of course, who could purchase it during the Depression? Luckily, the Order of Eastern Star was looking for a world headquarters, and Perry, being a Mason, sold the house for $100,000 with one condition. He wanted he and Mrs. Belmont wanted someone to live in the mansion for 100 years. So in our bylaws, the right-worthy Grand Secretary, when they're elected, are obligated to live in the mansion for their elected term. Some might think that that's glamorous, but the reality of it is you have to also realize that if you live a matter of feet from your office, so you're always on call. The phone rings 24/7, people from all around the world at different hours. So I'm sure it takes quite a bit to get used to. I do want to just try to go through some of the names here. Sister Minnie Keys, Sister Mamie Landers, Sister Virginia Jones. I'm going to jump over here. Sister Betty Briggs. When she moved here, the stories were that the house was in quite disrepair because the Grand Secretaries lived in the basement, and the entertaining floor wasn't really used. She and her husband, Bill, started scrubbing and bringing to the attention to the trustees and all of the members that, our treasure needs to be preserved. So they really need to be accredited with congratulations of having foresight to start an initiative to give care and attention to this magnificent structure. It's one of the finest homes in the United States. I'm blanking out here. Forgive me. Sister Poindexter, and then right where the late brother Gary Miller. And then in the center, always in the fireplace, is our current right-worthy Grand Secretary, who is Sister Alma Bain. Now we're going to go over here. I'm going to try to give you a zoom in to the reception room. So I'm going to kind of acclimate you. So that's the front door, and these pillars are the supporting pillars that support the mammoth staircase. This rug is, I believe, the largest Eastern Star rug in the world, if correct. It's 18 feet by 18 feet, and it was done by the Fett Nichols brothers from a chapter in Peking, China. It was presented to the headquarters by the Canal Zone, which of course now is called Panama. It is remarkable. And now you can see kind of another, the symmetry of this reception room done in the beautiful stone. You can see that the doors are mirrored. That was another thing that was done during that period of time, is to make the room even larger, to show more expanse. These two chairs are actually original 18th century chairs. These are quite magnificently carved, very finely carved. So they're from the 1700s. And I will get in there on Brother Henry, the most worthy grand patron, is the president of the Perry Belmont House Foundation, which I'll get into a little later. We are lucky enough to become, that foundation is separate from the grand chapter. It's a 501c3. So he has created with the board a website, and we have items that we do have, I'm going to show you the beauties, but also we need to show you the nitty gritty of things that need to be conserved. And it can't be done without our member donations and also the public, but those are on the preservation. On the Perry Belmont House Foundation website, there are items that can be adopted and conserved. All right, now we're going to be facing R Street, which faces east. Here we have a beautiful oil painting of our founder, Dr. Morris. Magnificent mantelpiece. I know it's so hard to see as we're doing this, but I really can't wait to see all of you face to face so that you can really see the extraordinary detail work. All right, so we're now in the treasure room. So I do need to give a little background. So if you go to Newport, Rhode Island, or other places where these magnificent mansions were from these, the Gilded Age, the piano nobile, or noble floor, like would be the ballroom, the big vast rooms for entertaining, were usually on the first floor. So the Perry Belmont house was also called the upside down house, because normally the family would have lived upstairs and the balls and dancing and all the entertainment was downstairs. They flipped that. The second floor is specifically for entertaining. The Belmonts wanted it to be grand, like going up into a casino in Monaco, up these magnificent staircase, which we'll get to a little later. But this would have been their private salon. This would have been their living room. Excuse me. Magnificent oriental carpets throughout the mansion. We're so truly blessed. The house was abandoned from 1925 for a decade. So if you could imagine that everything intact, even the Tiffany collection that we have. I know when I was in college in the 90s, I was doing construction on a historic home, and people would break in at night and strip the copper wiring out of the walls. We couldn't even get the house wired. So I'm flabbergasted that we're so blessed that this house is in the extraordinary condition that it is. In this room, we house some of the gifts that were given, diplomatic gifts by Eastern Star travelers to the General Grand Chapter. Beautiful porcelains. We do have some that go back to the 1700s. Beautiful family, excuse me, family rose. These are incense censers. They're massive. The fireplace andirons are some of the most extraordinary that you'll see. But we do need to bring attention to probably next to, that's a little close. Next to the signet, this is one of the most historic and valuable items in the house. Perry Belmont's grandfather was Commodore Matthew Perry, who opened up trade to Japan with the Perry Expedition, 1862 to 1864. I mentioned we've had a lot of notable guests in the house. In 1910, the Emperor of Japan sent a military entourage to stay, and they stayed for about 6 weeks. In 1917, they returned on official business. There was a state dinner. The Belmonts took them up to Newport, Rhode Island, to their other mansion. The Japanese held the Belmont family in the highest order. They bestowed orders on Perry, and they visited his father's grave up in Newport while they stayed at the Belcourt Mansion. This might look like a painting, but it's not. It is absolutely breathtaking, and it's hand embroidered silk. It's an imperial hunting scene. You can see the dogs here. This is all pampas grass. I can barely sew my broken buttons on my shirt. So anyone who sees this is truly astounded. And when we had people from the Smithsonian here, they stood in dead silence and stared at this for quite some time. And then some of them got on their phone and called some colleagues. And we've been told that it's the finest, if not one of the finest pieces in the United States that is not in a major museum. Some Imari bowls, some ivory, some other rose medallion. This room was painted at some point during history, of course, going from basically a billionaire family to a fraternal order with limited, income, of course, like any organization. We did the best that we could during time. This was painted, but originally this would have just been the gold gilding. So at some point down the road, we're very hopeful that this can be part of the restoration, that we might be able to get it back to the original. And we're trying to we have found some of the original glass photographs, which are great detail that show how the house was originally. We're still on the hunt to find more of those photographs so that we can see the route that we need to go down for the preservation. So behind those doors, there is a little hallway and the butler's kitchen, which is the right where the Grand Secretary's kitchen. Usually there are heavenly smells coming out of there, which brings a smile to my face, of course, when I come upstairs, right where the Alma usually has something yummy cooking in that kitchen. So I like to sneak up and try to figure out what she's cooking. I'm going to turn over here. This is a Lazy Susan. Good grief. I'm trying to think of how wide it's probably close to 3 feet. I get tickled by that because it's so monumental. This is my favorite fireplace in the entire mansion. This is east over here, so the morning sunlight comes through here. This is a breathtaking lion, cherubs, or angels, and it's done in the richest plum marble that you've ever seen. A beautiful oil painting. Spherical rock crystal chandeliers. Later, I'm hoping we get up there. We're going to see a little bit of the crown molding. Now, I'm going to see if the camera lets me show you the ceiling. Oh, we got pretty lucky with it. In the Belmont era, originally this was a landscape scene, but of course, that was most likely sold at the 32 auction, or the Belmonts cut the canvas and took it to one of their other properties. This painting was done by Sister Eugene de Lalande Sogstadt, and it depicts the saintly women of the scripture. It took many months to complete, and I'm assuming it was done probably in the 30s after this was consecrated as the international headquarters. She was a sister of the Martha Washington chapter 42 in Alexandria, Virginia, which is just across the river. She had a studio and she taught art at McKinley High School. She created numerous oils and watercolor postcards, and most famously, one of her designs was called Before Sunset. And that was done in 1917. And some of her work is on display at the Smithsonian. So gonna try to get down. This, I believe, we believe was, excuse me, the original table that belonged in the state dining room upstairs. This is where we've had a lot of meetings. The small staff that we have here at the headquarters, this is where we have our holiday party and nibbles. This table is enormous in weight, and it opens up to 22 feet. So if you can imagine the entertaining that the Belmonts did back in that period, it was the most lavish entertaining the city had seen. The Belmonts were not humble in showing their power and their wealth. And once we get up there, I'll try to remember to talk about some of the dinners, that the research that I found. This is a really beautiful carved walnut case. Inside, I'll see if I can get closer. The china that is inside is a beautiful India tree pattern done by Coalport, England. It was created in 1750 with, of course, the trade going to India during the imperial period. It was retired, but the King of England liked it so much that he had it recommissioned turn of the century. This was gifted, I found through a little research. I was going through the archives through Minnie's letters to the Belmonts, and I found that it was gifted in honor of a past most worthy grand patron. Some of the silver sets that have been left. Try not to make myself dizzy here. And we're going to zip out to the grand staircase. Oh, can't really see, but that's down that hallway is the only guest room in the house. The door is closed on this camera tour. That's most worthy grand patron suite. He has a great place to relax, a beautiful sitting room, and a beautiful bedroom. Pardon me. Under here is actually a squash court, and so Olympic-sized squash court, which His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales played in while he stayed here. And I'll get into some of the history of that upstairs. Oh my God, I'm trying to just get, I'm gonna have to do a little dancing here, so bear with me. Gonna have to turn around. Oh, the doors. The doors are 20 foot tall. They both weigh 1,000 pounds each. That is how all guests enter. The architect really showed his genius. Since the house is wedge-shaped, kind of like a slice of pizza, most architects would have done it on the long strip, which would have been New Hampshire Avenue. He chose the most difficult point in the house, which was the very point. So I'm going to turn here and show you the stairs. And now you can see again, and upstairs more beautifully, he divided the home into thirds. Once we start viewing up here, your eyes are drawn up the grand staircase. This is going through these Ionic columns, and this is the ballroom. There's a mammoth mirror up there that reflects a skylight in the ballroom, which shows that sense of endlessness and infinity. Your eyes are just drawn into an infinite light. This hallway is 18th Street side, and this hallway is the New Hampshire Ave side. So we're gonna hop up these stairs, see if I can get us positioned here. I want to give us a good view. Through a little more research, we found that this magnificent staircase that was designed by Sanson is actually inspired by the Trianon in Palace Versailles, especially the finials here. And this is the decorative work here is all solid brass. I tested it with the magnets because I want to start working on restoring or conserving rather the magnificent brass that we have. And this was painted over at some point, but we do want to let this grande dame shine like she should. Now from here you can see this beautiful sarcophagus. This was a gift from the state of Oklahoma. It was in honor of Sister Juanita Killian, who was the most worthy grand matron from 1958 to 1961. And thankfully, through a generous donation from the state, this was recently conserved and cleaned. So it does look fabulous now. It had gotten, decades of dirt and grime on it. We're going to turn. You'll see that these stairs are half steps, which of course, during the time of the Belmonts, the women would have had elegant gowns, the men dapper, and it's kind of keeps you from huffing and puffing up big steps. So they're very not very high, and their depth is a little. I'm not making any sense there. They're easy to ascend and descend and be elegant and dapper. I want to get to the top of the stairs here. You can see these magnificent torchères. These are palisadernes done in the family rose pattern. And that is all ormolu bronze, which is quite extraordinary. I'm going to try to get around here so I can turn so you can see the stair hall. See the beautiful, I'm not sure technically they're ionic columns, but they're a little more decorative. This is the great stair hall. The acoustics in the mansion are breathtaking. You can have just a little tiny speaker here and it sounds like the New York Philharmonic. I try to post on our Instagram and post on our Facebook when we have events that have music, because it's heavenly to hear the sound travel. We're looking up towards the ceiling here. These are the only original chandeliers in the house. The Belmonts were known for having some of the largest, which would have been in the ballroom. These are the original 6 rock crystal and amethyst glass chandeliers. They're beautiful. If you see views of the exterior of the mansion, I spoke of those magnificent urns. You can see the brilliance of how the architect did the symmetry with the arching. This is all open, and this is actually a catwalk up there where the band used to play, so that the sound could travel. So these urns carry that theme in from the exterior with the decorative anthus, and it also with the roses. There's rose garland festoons carved into the exterior of the building, as well as once we get into the grand salon. So I'm going to turn here, and we're going to enter the room that is at the point of the house on the 2nd floor. This is the entertaining floor. This is the Petite salon, and it is marvelous. You can see it's drenched in magnificent sunlight. This was filmed in the morning, so this is south, so you can see the beautiful sunlight coming through. Now, with the Beaux-Arts movement, they celebrated all of the arts. So now when we go from room to room here, you're going to see that the mansion's not done in one style. It's done in numerous architectural styles. So this would be done in like an Austrian Baroque. The breathtaking chandelier, and it's not cut crystal, it's the orbs. Beautiful rock crystal orbs, so it captures the light magnificently. This is one of the finest salons in Washington, D.C. Over the years, I'm not sure when it happened, either the Depression or post-World War II. At some point, the original gold gilding was painted over with radiator paint or some type of gold paint. So my dream, I hope before I retire in my 90s or whenever, my dream is to have this salon restored. Another interesting feature of this is to be an elliptical salon. So you can see the draperies are here. Well, we are covering the windows, but the original draperies go in these gigantic arches that are built in. So at some point, if we're lucky enough to We're trying to hit some corporate sponsors for that, some fabric houses from Paris, to see if we can get that done. But if you can only imagine how dramatic that would have been, these gigantic window treatments done in magnificent fabrics. This vitrine, it's an 18th century vitrine. So when you get close, the glass is all crinkled, like the old windows from that time period. This has some of the beautiful Louis Comfort Tiffany collection. We are so blessed. I've had experts come through the house that have just been gobsmacked and their jaws have dropped. And they said, whoever collected the glass, you know, had the highest of discerning taste. So we're really lucky that they survived, which is indeed a miracle. A lot of these old mansions were torn down. Families lost their wealth and couldn't keep them up, or they were turned into embassies or condo buildings. So thank God, I believe it was divine providence that I firmly believe that the Order of the Eastern Star was able to purchase the mansion from the Belmonts, which has ensured the order has been good stewards of the property ever since, and we continue. Here are some porcelains that were gifts over the decades from Eastern Star travelers. I do want to get close because I do want to point out something very important in the house. Right here, this is a stone from the White House. During President Truman's era, you know, the White House had fallen into complete disrepair and needed a major overhaul, and it was completely modernized. But President Truman, being a Mason, at one point halted all of the bulldozers and made everybody stop construction because he saw Masonic symbols on some of the stones. So what he did was he gave one stone to every Grand Lodge in the United States, and we are very lucky to have one here in the house. And the Supreme Council, the House of the Temple on 16th Street, which is just over very near to here, has the other one. The architect for the White House was a past master of my lodge, so of course I'm feel very connected, and that's very special to me when we give the tours. It was done in 1773, and then also he oversaw the construction of the Capitol building. Up there, we can see the organ. I believe that was installed by the Order of the Eastern Star for the dedication. The pipes are hidden up here behind a screen. Now we're going to go through into the ballroom. If I can get us in here. I'm going to kind of turn, and I'm going to give you a view so I can kind of go through some of the history of the house. The ballroom's the centerpiece of the entire second floor, as well as the largest room. It's in the center of the mansion. The chair rails, the pilasters, and the friezes are all entirely carved of quarter sawn oak. So anybody that knows wood knows that that was just another level of expense, but really brings out the warmth of the wood in the house. You can see the circular skylight, which lets magnificent light in during the day. The walls are upholstered in damask. This would be done in the English classicism style. I don't know if I can get close enough. Let me see if I can sneak around the room here. Going to do some turning here. I want to show you that this is one of the best views through the entire house. Standing in front of the fireplace, you can see that there's another sense of endlessness with the sun just drenching through the Petite salon. Here you can see some of the monumental Louis Comfort Tiffany pieces that we have. Beautiful Lalique antique lamp. This lamp over here is actually Tiffany. It's done in the zipper pattern. And then this fabric here is the original, and that's Fortuny fabric, one of the oldest fabric houses. Try to show you, you can see some of the extraordinary wood carving. Beautiful French doors. And forgive me, I don't have my notes with the brother that donated these. These are museum quality cobalt urns that are spectacular. And those were gifted recently, and they fit perfectly in the ballroom. You can see some of the beautiful oil paintings that we treasure. And then again, the friezes over the doorways of just exceptional work. I'm going to try to square us up here. I want to show you, everybody asks about these. These are outlets. Those are electrical outlets. The Belmonts were kind of showing off. The house was one of the first electrified mansions after the White House. And the elevator, we do have an elevator, and it's the first in Washington, D.C. in a private home. And it has, you open the door and it has the old French brass door that we have to close as well. Now we're going to show you the other view. This mirror was the largest mirror in North America when it was installed. The DuPont company said it was the largest single pour of glass that they had ever endeavored. And every time I look at it, I kind of marvel, you know, how they would even get it in the house today. I don't know. I have no idea how you would pack it or transport it. But if you can imagine in 1909, you know, back then it was horse and buggies, and that automobiles were just becoming fashionable, and the Belmonts did have some automobiles. Of course, that would have been like having a Lear jet at the time. It was not very common until a little bit later when Ford did the Model, was it Model A and Model Ts, and they used the Spanish moss from Florida up the railroad to pack things. So they recycled that, and then that Spanish moss that was used for packing, which might have been used for packing that mirror with wooden structures, Ford would have put that into the seats of the cars as the stuffing. So I'm sure it was a little bumpy ride. This set of Louis furniture has just been recently through the Most Worthy Grand Matron and Patrons, and the foundation was just restored. It was reupholstered because it was fallen into kind of disrepair. Going to come over here. Try to get a good view of this piano. This is a showstopper in Washington, D.C. It is a gold gilded Steinway piano. I want to try to get to my notes here, so forgive me. We did a little research, and we found out that it was originally owned by the Belmonts, which we didn't know. We did know that it was presented in 1955 by the Montana Grand Chapter in honor of Sister Anna Winston Smalley, who was the past Most Worthy Grand Matron from 1937 to 1940. So that was an extraordinary gesture on the state of Montana to have purchased that during the 32 auction and then rededicated it back to the mansion for the history. Now I'm going to, there you can see the little camera. We're going to go into this room. This is one of my favorite rooms in the house. This is the grand salon, or what we call the gold room. I'll give you a little view here. In 1919, this house was vacated by the Belmonts and given as the official headquarters for the British mission by Sir Eric Geddes in November of 1919 to receive His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. And that was the official state visit. President Wilson was ill and could not entertain at the White House. So this Vice President and the Secretary of State asked the Belmonts if they would help entertain the future king. and luckily they did. It was thought for many decades that the prince stayed in the right worthy grand patron suite, but we recently found that the Belmonts vacated. They went and stayed at a hotel and gave the prince and his entire retinue the most worthy grand matron, her suite, and the right worthy grand secretary suite, which would have been Mr. and Mrs. Belmont's suite. And then they had full reign of the house. The prince became King Edward VIII in 1936. And of course, we know that he abdicated the throne a year later to marry Wallis Simpson, whose aunt lived just a couple blocks away on 16th Street. And we found through a little digging through the Library of Congress that for the official state visits, Wallis Simpson's aunt had been in the mansion with some admirals. So we don't know if, I think that's, if Wallis Simpson was in the mansion, we probably would have known, but I definitely think her aunt was the conduit kind of pushing her into that realm. And obviously it worked to her favor because she married the prince. I'm going to look around here a little bit more. I want to start from the left side. Here you can see when the room was finished, Mrs. Belmont wasn't very pleased. She thought it was a little dark and drab. So she did what any self-respecting woman of her time and status that time would do. She re-gilded it for $250,000 back then, which was a few $1,000,000 today. She had an artist come from Paris who hand-painted these magnificent exotic birds and botanical panels. And luckily we have the original 10 panels. And that's one of my favorite items in the whole house. Below it, another favorite. This is a magnificent piece of Sèvres French porcelain from 1773 or 1774. This was a gift in honor of Sister Renee Ofton, who was the Right Worthy Associate Grand Matron and past Grand Matron of Texas. The porcelain was given by the family of Brother Paul Huffings, who is a past Grand Patron of Texas. So that is one of the most priceless pieces here, and it's done of the finest quality and craftsmanship. Try to show you some more of the beautiful porcelain. I've been coming to the mansion for over a decade, and I still find new details that I had never known. And I just noticed detailing this past week, which really I find amazing. I like to kind of describe the mansion as subdued exuberance. It is remarkably sophisticated and elegant in its design, but it's not totally over the top and in your face like the Hall of Mirrors of Versailles. This is a Art Nouveau period porcelain. I want to come over here, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a side view. So in this case is the jewel case. This houses some beautiful, rare officers' jewels from all over the country. I need to get to my notes here. It was presented to the General Grand Chapter by the state of Wyoming in honor of Sister May Mickelson, who is the most worthy Grand Matron from 1970 to 1973. I was so lucky to had the privilege to give her granddaughter a tour last year, and I have to share this story. It tickles me so much. I don't know why, but Sister Mickelson was known to be quite a spitfire. She was just a tiny little thing, but she raised, besides being a consummate leader in the order, she also raised millions of dollars for charities. And she was in a documentary with Robert Redford, and her granddaughter was telling me that her grandmother said, "Oh, that Robert Redford." So I'm thinking in my head, she, was smitten with how handsome he was. And then she said, "He got my title wrong." So that's what cracks me up. I think many of you can relate to getting tongue tied for a grand visitation. I know I have to try to pause sometimes so that I don't say the wrong titles. But I really wish I could have met her. I think I would have really enjoyed her company because she was such a character. And I know that she was incredibly loved by all that knew her. This center table is a French Louis style. It is beautiful marble top table. It was presented by Sister Estelle Naylor, and she was a worthy grand patron. Oh, wait. Matron. I think I had a typo, so forgive me. From 1954. I'm going to zip over here. You can see some more of the antiques. These are some, we did a little history, and thankfully we flipped the chair over. They have their original marks and the label on it. And we found out that they were in the Paris World's Fair, late 1890s. These have kind of fallen disrepair. This one, you can see the original gold gilding. Some of them have been painted over, over the decades. And these are on the preservation project list as well. And in this case, you can see a photo of His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, when he was giving the Legion of Honor awards. I believe there was around 1,300 people. I'm not sure if that is accurate, but that's what I was told when the Prince was here. This house was completely and utterly full on all levels. And there was a microphone and speakers so everybody could hear throughout the entire mansion. We're going to come into this hallway that goes into the Venetian dining room. This is very important for a couple reasons. You can see the magnificent cases here. Mrs. Belmont had a really remarkable collection of priceless ladies' fans. The Right Worthy Grand Trustees, Sister Betty Briggs, Brother Dennis Jordan, Sister Joe Colifer, and Sister Helen Delaney were responsible for starting the Wall of Honor, which recognizes those members who have donated or donated in honor of somebody. So we take this very seriously, and we'd like to give credit to those people who have donated. There's a $10,000 wall. And then over here is the $5,000 wall. Of course, any donation is treasured. Every penny, no matter if it's $5 or $10 or $100, it all adds up and can go towards the beautiful conservation, preservation, and restoration. And we put those people in that book. Also, I do want to point out something very important. Even if you're shopping online, you have the option of going to Smile Amazon. Smile Amazon, it allows you the ability to select a charity of your choice, whatever it may be. But if you selected the Perry Belmont house, whatever shopping you do online, Amazon will donate a percentage. So shop all you want, and let Amazon start donating a little bit more. So that is a wonderful tool. We actually use it when we purchase some things for the headquarters online, and it adds up. Every penny counts. Now we're going to go into the state dining room. I'm going to try to get over here to give you a view. It's magnificent. This is Italian Renaissance, and it is as in your face, bold, Italian as possible. What more fitting room for a dining room than the passion of the Italians? This is the original silk damask walls. We're blessed that they're in such incredible shape. You can see this magnificent floor to ceiling hand carved marble. We've had people from all around the world travel. We've had internationally acclaimed interior designers come here, and they said they have never seen this color of marble. So I'm assuming that the Belmonts found a small vein of it in Italy and bought it all, for the dining room. Do want to bring your attention to the ceiling. When the Belmonts were traveling, I did a little digging through the Library of Congress and found in a year before the house was finished in 1908, they traveled to France and Italy to buy possessions for the house. These torchères are models or copies of the torchères that are in Palace Versailles in the Salle de Ball garden. Those, of course, are 22 karat gold gilded, but these are magnificent exact replicas of those. The ceiling, Mrs. Belmont loved it, so she bought it, and she had it shipped over to the United States and told the architect Sanson to please design the dining room around the magnificence of the ceiling. It really is breathtaking. The original panels were sold during the 1932 auction. These panels were painted in the 90s and are emblematic of the symbolism of Eastern Star, and were painted by, I have his name here, Eric Atkins. The table was donated in 1945, and it is 18 feet long, 5 feet wide. I'm going to kind of zip around the room here. These sideboards were gifted as well. I am 5'10", 5'9", or 5'10", I can't remember. I can stand inside the fireplace, so it's hard to tell when you enter the room how large it really is, but done in beautiful Italian Renaissance. And through this door is the passageway to the butler's kitchen. The original kitchen is in the basement, which is our General Grand Chapter headquarters. That's where I am now. I'm down in the basement. And the original kitchen is still here. It's kind of, we use it a bit for storage and a bit of laundry, and some of the furniture and things are down there. Over here, built in is a dumbwaiter. So the food would have come up into the butler's kitchen. I wish I could show you, but the door was closed. Beautiful. I don't even know how tall they are, 20, 25 foot cabinets, or 18-foot cabinets and 20-some foot windows, those beautiful arched windows. The sink is the original sink, and it is soft. So if you click it with a champagne glass or your fingers, you'll know that it's soft. It's made out of zinc so that it would, and of course it was lined with German silver, because why not when you've got $1 zillion? The silver is antimicrobial, so it kills all the bacteria. And then the zinc would have made it soft, so you wouldn't have chipped your priceless china and crystal. I do want to mention something else that we've done. For about 10 years, over 10 years, a brother, Masonic brother, Peter Ahern, and I had been doing kind of like secret dinners for our wounded, ill, and transitioning servicemen and women. He was a chaplain at Walter Reed, and I had done little dinner. I would cook. He would find the appropriate servicemen and women that needed to have a place to go away not think about their injuries. And many of them didn't have much time to live. So I'm going to try to get through this. I get a little choked up. After all these years, it shows how magical and important this endeavor is. So we finally asked the Grand Chapter if we could do Thanksgiving dinner, a Patriots Thanksgiving dinner. And they said yes, thankfully. So our Patriots Thanksgiving dinner is a token of our immense and immeasurable gratitude for the fearless bravery of the men and women in our armed forces that put themselves in unimaginable danger defending the Constitution so that we may enjoy our freedom. Our first dinner, we had 12 people around this table. And luckily last year, it grew to having 45 people. And we put a king's table down the middle of the ballroom. And we had our service dogs. We had 2 service dogs here. So it was truly rewarding. And we'll be going on our 7th year as soon as the COVID-19 crisis ends. And I really can't wait. Unfortunately, we can't do it this year, but I really can't wait until the crisis is over so that we can commence doing that. We have seen miracles happen at that dining table. We protect their anonymity. A lot of the servicemen and women are exploited by various groups, they fly them for a trip and then put a microphone in their face. Some of them have been terribly injured, but our first year, I still get chills. He sat right here. A serviceman who was in an explosion and refused medical attention himself until he went one by one to ensure that all of his men and women were safe. And he actually was terribly injured, and it's a miracle he's alive. He had over 180 surgeries and could only eat through a straw with pureed food with a towel around his neck. And that year, he sat down and ate turkey with a fork and knife. And my brother, Peter, the tough Marine, had to get up and go out there because he had tears pouring down his face. And I snuck back to where my comfort zone was in the kitchen and had to pull myself together. But that's only one example of the miracles that happen in this house. It's so much more than just a headquarters. We're really, truly blessed to be able to give. We've had Eastern Star has hosted through the 90s Belmont Balls here, where they raised money for children's charities. Over the top, crazy, lavish balls, but the money went to children's charities. We wanted to start them back up again, but of course that's going to be put on hold. But I don't have much more. This is basically the tour. It's been a privilege for me to kind of take you through. I pray for the day that we can meet in person. I really miss seeing the most worthies and the trustees and the right worthy grand officers. I love when they come to the house and bring the energy and the vision. So I'm excited to hear that there were so many people on this conference. You're the future and the leadership of this organization, which of course is magnificent. And I look forward to meeting so many more of you. I guess at this point, I'm just going to say thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to hand it over to Brother Dennis. I don't know if we want to do any questions and answers, or I don't know if you guys are hungry and need to leave and go eat. I don't know what's going on, so please let me know.
We have 76 people watching you right now, Larry, and they seem to be very intently. Yes.
Oh my goodness, that's great. That's great. Well, I hope I didn't babble on too much, but it's a little easier when you're here face to face in the house. It's a little harder to try to navigate through here. Oh, and this rug, just FYI, it's a 50-foot rug, and it takes 14 men to roll it up, and it's like a giant anaconda, and we have to carry. We have to, if we have an event or a concert, we have to carry it down the hall, and it's become an art form, and we put it down in the squash court for safekeeping. I want to go back to some of the entertaining, if I can. You all know of Pavarotti, who is a world leading tenor. His predecessor was Enrique Caruso, who's performed here. And many of you might have had Peaches Melba as a dessert. She has performed here. Czech Republic, Kubliak, the violinist, has performed here. Anthony Kearns, one of the Irish tenors, recently performed here. Before he did the concert here, he sold out two 80,000 seat stadiums and 40,000 seat stadiums. And we were so blessed that we had about in the ballroom here. And he said this room was built for me, or built for musicians like me. The acoustics are so spectacular. We used the Gold Steinway. He sang. Everybody cried, of course. Nobody can get through Danny Boy unless you're not a human being. But it was a once in a lifetime concert. We continue to do concerts. We've done concerts for Music Link, which provides free music lessons or musical instruments for underprivileged children. We had one of them come here for a concert who was, I believe, an 11-year-old savant. He hadn't played the piano not only for a couple years, and he tore the piano apart playing Chopin, and has gone on to winning world international competitions, music corps, music for wounded servicemen and women. The list is endless. So I'm going to shut up. If anybody has any questions, I don't know if Dennis is controlling, if people raise their hands or whatever, but I'm willing to
I'm watching for questions here, Larry. I'm getting a lot of amazing tours. This manor is absolutely stunning. Maureen Lund, thank you, Mr. Von. Is it Weigel or Weigel?
Weigel.
Thank you,
Weigel.
Mr. Von Weigel, for the tour. I am excited and can't wait to come down and see this in person. Jane Stewart says, amazing presentation. Thank you so very much. You'll have to make a trip there to see it in person. Beautiful. And
yes.
Jackie Charlton. Amazing tour. Thank you. Barbara Fenner. It's a great tour, Larry. I'm Gary Smith's mom.
Okay. Oh my God. Oh, that's fabulous. Oh my gosh.
And we have a Bill. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I love him and his wife. Yeah, we want to do an event together. He's a genius. He's brilliant he has a huge collection of Vitrolas. A gold-plated Vitrola that would have been meant for this ballroom. So maybe we were hoping to do the Roaring 20s, but we've been put on hold. But who says you can't do it in 2021?
That's right. Jacqueline West says Dame Nellie Melba, an Australian soprano.
Yes.
Let me see what else. I've got a thank you from Shelley Galt. Thank you for the tour. It was amazing. DJ Parrish, is difficult not to be enthusiastic about such a wonderful place. Joan Smith is thank you for the wonderful tour. She's our worthy grand matron for the state here, by the way.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Betty McDuff, she's from up in Canada. I don't remember which one, Ontario, I think. But love the tour. What was that?
No, I'm just
Oh.
Shouting out to Canada.
Love the tour. Still hope to come for a live tour one day. Deidre Roy, she's from down in Australia. She says, I so want to come there. We got Charlotte, Worthy Grand Matron in Nebraska. She says, thank you. It makes me want to plan a trip once we are able. Beth Fletcher, she's a dear friend of mine here in New Hampshire. Wonderful tour, beautiful, thank you. Lynn Alexander, I look forward to traveling there someday. Carolyn Maselli, you are so passionate about the house. The tour was amazing. I was there the first time when Virginia Painter was most worthy grand matron.
Wow.
We got another Elizabeth Newell says beautiful. So you're getting a lot of good things. I might have skipped one here or there. I don't know. I'm trying to read them as they're coming in.
That's very kind.
Was the Supreme Court there for a gathering? Was a question from Cynthia James.
Well, I forgot to go over. I have to be very careful with how I speak with some of the past events. With sometimes we can mention, sometimes we can't, but I'm going to anyway. So if there's a bail bond later, I hope you guys pitch in a few bucks. Yes, we did. It was Christmas time, and we had Justice Thomas was here. RGB was not able to attend, but we had a number of members. The acting Attorney General was here. Lots of movers and shakers. Just to kind of go back, the house was closed basically to the public. It was mostly members only. And I had asked, my lodge has our installation here, and they helped with the Belmont balls, over the decades. And I said, why don't you open this to the public? And of course, their concern was, the priceless collections. I mean, obviously, beautiful pieces and the wear and tear on that house. But through the vision of the trustees and the most worthy grand matron and patron, they allowed this to be open as a luxury venue. And we're very discerning with who we let in. So we've let some major corporations. We've had a past president, attorney generals. We would have had another president. President Bush was supposed to be here, but that was, I believe his father passed away the day before he was supposed to come speak. President Obama has been here. Eric Holder, General. Oh my God, he spoke. We tons of senators, congressmen, congresswomen, representatives. Who was the general? He was just under the current administration. I forget, but I can't believe I'm blanking out. But we've had a lot of world leaders here for events. Oh my God, please. We just got published in Martha Stewart Wedding Magazine, October issue. Please go check that out. It was a wedding that was done in the gold room. It's many pages, so please check that out. Martha Stewart Wedding Magazine. I think you can view it online, but that was one of the most breathtaking events we'd ever done here. Florals and more gold than you could imagine on a tabletop, but it was really, really special. So yeah, we're excited. Of course, we're just trying to survive this scary period where nothing's happening. We're getting little by little business. I probably can't give all the information, but we were filmed by a major motion picture company, Paramount. I don't think I'm supposed to give the information out, but 2021 or 2022, you will see this mansion in a major film. So that was very cool. It was actually more than cool. It was the coldest 2 days of the entire year. It was absolutely freezing outside. And I was helping with the crew and trying to coordinate. They blocked off, I think, 4 blocks around us. And that'll be cool for you guys to be able to see the movie once it comes out. So we're trying to, get the house on the map. We're trying to do conservation and preservation. And we're doing it little by little, step by step. We do this all together. And I'm going to just leave it at that. I'm sure there's other events and people that have been through here. I can't think of everybody.
Larry, thank you for the tour. It's been amazing. You weren't here earlier when we started off. There was 250 something people signed up to be here this weekend with us for this whole event. We had
I applaud them. That's amazing.
We had over 30 jurisdictions. We have people. There's a whole bunch from Bolivia here watching you tonight.
Yeah.
Australia,
Oh my God.
all over the world are here watching you, and you're doing an amazing job. Thank you very much for coming and joining us.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to hear people from all over the world, and I'm humbled and honored to have this position. I was hired as the events coordinator to start publicizing the house for tours, and of course for some events to offset the operating expenses. And then I had the honor of being the most worthy grand matron, appointing me as the headquarters administrator. So everywhere I've been involved with historic preservation. This is my dream job. I'm madly in love with this house, and it's exciting to be able to meet with some of the world experts. We can't just do a normal job like, we would do at home. Everything's a process. We're prudent. We have to take our time. We discuss with the experts, the foundation and the trustees take their time and think things over so that we make the proper decisions, so that we don't make any mistakes with the conservation or restoration. But I'm thrilled. I find it remarkable that so many people were on this. And again, it's been my pleasure and my honor to give you my little humble tour. I can't wait for a more eloquent tour to be written by the historians that give us a little more of the details. But thank you. I'm going to let you do what you want. I don't know if you sign us all off, but it's been my honor.
Thank you very much, Larry.